with Ursula K. Guin, another of our later 20th century female authors. And the word of hers we read this week, she unnames them. All right, it's a short story. Some of you may have heard of Ursula K. Guin because she's actually a pretty famous science fiction writer. If you look at the printed out lecture, there's a photo of her. She's sitting in a rocking chair. Well, what appears to be a rocking chair. She's holding open a book. We're going to look at the book. Maybe it's the map of Earthsea. She wrote a very famous book called The Wizard of Earthsea. She looks as if she's, I don't know, older in the photo. I'm not sure exactly what time period. Maybe the 1980s this was taken. You also look in the lecture. Of course, there are several links if you'd like to know more about Ursula K. Guin, more so than I'm telling you now, or more than the anthology is telling you about, or more about her works. Got links you could explore. There is Ursula K. Guin's official website that's there. It's got links to Ursula reading her own work, as well as other writings, accolades, etc. There is an NPR link with an interview about 3 novelist books, the last of which is on Ursula Guin and her novel Lavinia. And of course there's another website too with biographical literary information. There's a YouTube link for Ursula Guin reading from her own novel Lavinia, and a YouTube trailer that dramatizes one of Guin's most beloved works of all time, her Earthsea trilogy. I talked about Wizard of Earthsea earlier, but yeah, it's a trilogy actually, 3 books. Okay, Ursula K. Guin. She's an American and was born in 1929. She lived until 88 years old and died in 2018 in Portland, Oregon. So, Ursula K. Guin, she lived her husband in Portland, Oregon. His name was Charles Guin, whom she met when she actually studied in France, no less. She was born in Berkeley, California, to anthropologist Alfred Kroeber and writer Theodora Kroeber. Her father was the first person to earn a PhD in anthropology at Columbia University. Now, you remember who else studied anthropology at Columbia? Was, of course, Your Eyes Were Watching God author Zora Neale Hurston. Yeah. So here, actually, Alfred Kroeber was quite a well-known anthropologist. That was Ursula's father. And interestingly, Ursula's writings embody similar interests in anthropology. So I'm sure there was a lot of, talk around the house about these kinds of things. Because she definitely displays a knowledge of and love for anthropological discussions. Her science fiction often envisions other worlds and countries that comment on human sociological issues, including gender. So very much anthropological concerns. Thus, Ursula's writings are at once feminist, anthropological, sociological, and speculative, as evident in the work of hers we read for class called She Unnames Them, which was published in 1985. Now, I don't know if you recall what speculative literature is, but it's a fancy way of saying science fiction and fantasy writing. So speculating on other realities beyond the quote-unquote real one, right? Where we're departing from reality in one way or another. Yes. So Ursula Guin herself earned a bachelor's degree from Radcliffe and later a master's from Columbia. And her father, of course, attended Columbia. So, although Ursula started constructing her other countries in her youth, and even at the age of 11 submitted a rejected story to a science fiction magazine, she began to be published in the 1960s, and her writing only took off from there. Her writings have garnered numerous awards, including several prestigious Hugo and Nebula Awards. Remember I told you about those earlier when we were reading about Alice B. Sheldon, because she's also won the Hugo and Nebula Awards. Those are the top awards for science fiction. Many of Ursula Le Guin's writings form part of long series about whole alien worlds and civilizations, including the Hainish Cycle, the Western Shore, and the Earthsea works, which I mentioned earlier. Some are fantasy, like Earthsea, and some are, more science fiction based, like the Hainish Cycle. Ursula Le Guin has even collaborated with composers to create multimedia productions. Her works have been adapted to film and television alike. You may have seen something written by Ursula Le Guin. So, I invite you to go and read more about Ursula Le Guin in our anthology and read the work of hers, that short story that we read for class this week, She Unnames Them. And I think you will notice when you read it that it is carrying along a theme that we have studied very much already in this class. No spoilers, but spoiler, it has something to do with the story of Eve. Remember how many times we have read that and encountered it and analyzed how it has shaped and informed people's notions on women and their living conditions and different sociological positioning within society, all derived from the religious underpinnings of this story of Eve. In other words, the Adam and Eve story. All right, enjoy reading more about Ursula Le Guin and She Unnames Them. Thank you.